And welcome to there's nobody watching the stream yet, so I'm just gonna chill. Anyway, we are running on hacker time today and also on a fraction of our usual channels, thanks to the fact that somebody forgot to pay the bill for Restream. So no countdown timer, no time for people to jump on the stream, no graphics, and no full high definition, as well as no output to our LinkedIn, Twitch, or half of our other channels. So wasn't able to get anyone to pay the bill in time, but I'm still going to go live because I have a lot to share and talk about. So hello to the 6 people who have so far found out that we've gone live. We are running the, hacker version of this stream where nothing works. So cool. Anyway, good to see everyone. My name is Cody Kinsey. I am a security researcher and not necessarily a producer here at Varonis. And today we're going to talk about any questions you have that are ethical hacking related, but also we're going to talk about the Scale Conference, Southern California Linux Expo, a conference that a lot of security people might not have on their radar, but I certainly do, both because the weather in Pasadena is wonderful, and also I went to Pasadena City College, and I know a lot of people who present and organize Scale, so yeah, I was really excited to go there. So, oh, hello to everyone. It looks like some people have figured out we have the stream, even though our Restream's broken. So if I look like a potato this week, it's because, as I mentioned, our Restream account ran out and nobody was available to pay the bill. So we'll probably be back to normal next time. And I personally am going to be switching over to OBS's backup just because I realized how much I actually rely on Restream. While I was trying to go live today, I wasn't able to be in full definition. I wasn't able to stream to our normal channels, display graphics, so that's why there's no countdown, or really do most of the other things you actually need to do to stream. So while Restream has been nice for us as long as we pay the bill, the free version is not something I would necessarily recommend. Anyway, it's good to see everyone. I didn't get a chance to go live last week because of the Scale Conference. And, you know, I'm not going to leave you guys without a story. So let's talk about what happened at Scale, what Scale is, and why you might want to check it out. So Southern California Linux Expo is a conference that attracts, I think, like a couple thousand people. And it's held in the Pasadena Convention Center, ironically, right next to America's Got Talent. So there's like a bunch of people who are on like dance troops and like singing and whatever else, all like lined up outside, and then a bunch of Linux users. And you can immediately recognize the Linux users by like their body posture. And you're just like, okay, that's Scale attendees. So you go over, you get inside, and then there's all these conference halls and all these individual like kind of ballrooms where they're having talks, meetups. They also have a bunch of workshops. They had a lot of really cool stuff. They had CTFs. So while it is targeted obviously at Linux users, there's a big crossover with security people, and there was a fair amount of security presence there. I didn't really see any other security companies, so it was kind of cool to be like showing off the Varonis logo at like a place where people came over and were like, oh yeah, I actually like I know this company, like we work with them. So that was really cool. But the primary thing I wanted to do at this conference was bring a bunch of content creators out, including myself, and just hang out with people. Present a little bit, talk about some cool projects we've made, and connect with people who have, you know, just like seen our YouTube videos and like them or want to chat. So I want to share some of the things we did at the conference. Let me bring down my volume so it's not super loud. All right, so at a conference like this, you are faced with stiff competition. Our team managed to get a sponsor booth at Scale, both because, you know, we know a bunch of people there, and also because towards the end of the conference, like, you know, for smaller organizations, getting a table is not so difficult if, you know, maybe there's some extra table space. So we needed to compete with big companies. We needed to compete with Meta. We needed to compete with who else was there? Like Framework Laptops. We had AWS. We had all these like companies that are really, really well known. How do we get out there and outmarket them, right? Like we're like just a bunch of content creators. So, you know, for us being content creators, our idea was be flashy. So what could be more flashy than a bunch of adorable Pushins is my question. So that was my strategy. Pushins. So obviously this is not the licensed, you know, like actual Pushin, but I call them Pushins, you know, just to distinguish, you know, what they are and what they look like. And these are actually baby toys from China that I have been obsessed with ever since I saw them at Chaos Communication Congress. They light up, they're cute, there's different faces, and on AliExpress they're like called like Lovely Cat, Clever Cat, Popular Cat. And they all have different little deals. So I was like, all right, if we're going to attract people to our table, then let's make something that is just lovely to look at, unique. It's something that nobody else will have because we're literally making it ourselves. Like I saw it once and I want to replicate it. So how would I do this? So we all got together and attempted to wire these little pushins together. And it didn't go well. It was not a lot of fun, honestly. Trying to make them go through a bunch of shelves, we were going to run out of time. So in the end, we ended up linking them together just in this conga line, and that was enough to draw people to the booth. And a lot of people really, really wanted these pushins. So to create like a pretty large crowd around the booth, we managed to get a lot of people in and talking to us purely based on the pushins, even if they didn't notice that we happen to be in a bunch of YouTube videos. A lot of people like looked at our banner like, oh yeah, like I watched that stream. And then they looked down and like, oh wait, it's you on the stream. So if you were one of those people who came to the Scale conference, oh my gosh, my battery's about to die. Such drama today. If you were one of those people who came to the booth and hung out with us and said that you watched the stream, first of all, thank you. It was so cool to get to find other people who were interested in our content, that had suggestions, had ideas, and that participated. I just really enjoyed it. So thank you to everyone that came by. That was awesome. We also decided to partner with a local hackerspace, Null Space Labs, to host a Meow Mixer and to try to raise some money. So we both sold open source designs and also hosted a Meow Mixer with the hope of raising money for a local space that has a lot of great community benefits and helps a lot of people get interested and supported when learning ethical hacking, IT, like all this other great stuff. So in the end, our booth kind of looked like this. And what was funny is we were supposed to go live our first day. I wanted to share with you guys how the progress was, how everything was going. And you can see there's quite kind of a crowd like that was always around our booth. But we got moved. So our good friends at Null Space Labs host a little conference called, it's not little, they host a security conference called Layer 1. And the organizers at Scale made a little mistake, and they accidentally put our friends at Null Space Labs at the booth that we had set up the day before. And not knowing what to do, they proceeded to put their booth on top of our booth. So we had to then take their booth apart, take our stuff off, move it over, and set our booth up again in a completely different place on our first day. So apologies for not going live that day, but we had a big crowd around our booth from the second we actually got it set up. Which was the second time that we got that booth set up. So one of the people that we had with us was Davis DeWitt, a former Mythbuster who's been on the show lately. And he brought his giant train horn. So when you're at when you're at a marketing conference and you see something like this, you're probably going to come over and ask what it is. A lot of people thought it was a flamethrower. But in this case, it was not a flamethrower. It was a portable truck horn. And you better believe that this attracted basically every engineer in the conference to come over and talk to us about the portable train horn. So Davis has done a lot of cool stuff, talking about some of our open source tools, but also just teaching people about science and showing off some pretty cool projects, including a very popular remote controlled special effects smoke grenade that uses a little vape cartridge and can be remotely triggered to create smoke. So Davis has a background in special effects, but also just engineering technology in general. So as a maker and someone who's pretty well known on YouTube, it was great to have him out with our team, getting to talk to people and answer questions. Hello from France, Nolbait. Bonjour. So yeah, so that was really cool. Let me see. We also saw the return of the soda machine. So I am so excited about this. So if I didn't tell you about this at DEF CON, then this is something that I find so cool. So when you open this machine, there are not drinks inside. It is a server. It's got, I think, at least one server. I can't really see how many are in there, but it's got at least one beefy server in there. And the idea is if you're playing a CTF at a conference and you want to spin up a beefy server, then this has a bunch of different virtual machines on the front that you can select from. You put in $1 or $2, whatever it is, and it spins up an instance of that operating system and then spits out on the receipt a login for you to connect. So if you're playing a CTF and you want a shell on demand, then soda, then you can go here and you can whip one up real quick. So they were right next to us at the conference. I have to say it's so cool to know that they're local, in Los Angeles. So I see them at DEF CON for 2 years now. and seeing them here as well, I was really, really pleased. So like I said, there was a good amount of crossover between like security people and Linux people, and it was great to see everybody come together in this convention. The saddest thing that happened at the conference, and I'm not talking any shade, I'm just talking about the news here, is CentOS was right next to us, and every 25 to 30 seconds, somebody would walk up to their booth and ask if CentOS was dead. I don't know the drama on that, so I'm sure that there's some CentOS users in the chat who can explain to me like why people were doing this. But like Linux users were just so relentlessly punking these people the entire time. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that by the end they were getting a little annoyed by people asking if CentOS was dead. So one of the things I thought was cool, because like my job is in cybersecurity and marketing, like I got to look at how other organizations were marketing themselves, and there were people like the network time server people, the NTS server, that were just there, and they'd go up and be like, "Hey, we're the time guys," and you'd be like, "Oh, cool! Like, what are you up to? Is there any updates?" Any news? Like, "No, we're just we do time. You probably used us, right? Because we're the time guys." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I know you. I've used you before." And they're like, "Yeah, that's us. You know us." I'm like, "Okay, but like, any updates? Anything new?" No, we're just the time guys. We're here. Just good to see you. So sometimes it was just like seeing like software celebrities. I'm like, "Hey, yeah, it's the time guys, NTS guys. That's cool." But like other times, it was like Meta or GitHub. I think like the biggest players at that conference in terms of sponsors were GitHub and Meta. And GitHub was giving away like hydro flasks and like tons of stickers. Their sticker table was completely covered in a massive variety of stickers all the time, which is what drew a lot of people's interest. I have to say their sticker game, 100% like amazing, like immaculate. And then like Meta, a little stingier. I didn't really get much swag from Meta. Like I liked also that AWS built a little like campfire and like had like some like visuals, and I thought that was really cute. So just going around and seeing what like big companies were doing. Nobody else had Pushins. We really took it. We really did the AliExpress special on this booth where a bunch of like electrical and engineering people came together and just made like a fun thing out of like the materials we could source for like less than $200 over the course of a couple of days. I honestly think that the next time we do one of these booths, we're going to document like our ridiculous ideas and how we end up like making an even more extravagant thing. Because originally there was supposed to be 2 shelves hanging down from the side, each with the Pusheen in it, all going crazy the entire conference. So a lot of fun. Let's see. Gentoo, Red Hat, Sussy, Seuss was there. Yeah. I saw a lot of like Linux distros were being represented there. I saw like people from like projects that I knew very well were there. It was cool. And then of the marketing stuff I saw that was clever, like there was some like social like production people. Like we weren't the only like video people there, but there was like people who do more like podcasts and stuff like that there. And they hid a bunch of like plastic Easter eggs with raffle tickets in it, and then raffled off like a Raspberry Pi 5 and some other cool stuff. So like in the future, I know that if I were to like raffle off this wall of Pushins that we like custom make like for each conference, I think people would enjoy that, because they've kept trying to buy the Pushins. We're like, well, like, no, like we're not selling those. But towards the end, we ended up giving away about half the Pushins, and like people seemed really satisfied. So yeah. I love sitting down from the con to see a bunch of NTP packets on Wireshark. I used to call the time guys when they had a landline. Yeah, there was some real like open source celebrities there. You use them by accident 49 times a day. Yeah. The time guys were really someone cool. So I have to say the star of the conference, and I have to say, like, I thought that we created the most desirable item at the conference with the Pushins, like, because you couldn't get them anywhere else, and like they were really exclusive and like one of a kind. But I was wrong. There was one company that managed to do it a little bit better, and that was the friggin' VLC people of all people. Like, look at these hats. So the most coveted, we're not there yet. The most coveted item at this whole damn conference was these VLC hats. And you can see Davis here making an emotional plea to the French person wearing the traffic cone hat to like let him have it. We offered them everything. And apparently these hats were like such hot, like bartering. No, I don't need to see this. Go away. Why is this here? Yuck. It's like right in the way. Google, you thought you were so smart, and yet, okay, there we go. All right, so let me put this back up on the screen so you can actually see what I'm talking about. There we go. All right, I just had to cue this up so it looked, proper. This traffic cone hat was the most desirable object in the entire conference. Nobody could get one. And it's because, according to these people, they tried to make like hundreds of them, and the order was going to be like a month too late for them to actually bring them to the conference. So instead, they only had enough for their own team, and they were each unwilling to give away their personal traffic cone hat. So for being the most visual team at the entire conference and also having the most desirable object, these traffic cone hats absolutely win hands down for my opinion in terms of like great marketing at a conference. So our Pushins came in close second. You can see all these people like jealously looking at the Pushins and considering like grabbing one. But yeah, I really have to say the traffic cone hats from VLC, if you have one of these, contact me. I will bribe you. We offered them everything. We were like, we'll give you Pushins, we'll give you 3 Pushins, we'll give you half of our Pushins. They're like, no Pushins, no hat. Or sorry, no, because they were all French. So they were wonderful. However, unwilling to share their traffic cone hats. Next year, though, they promised to barter their hats away. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna highlight your comment, James, but I absolutely agree with you about the capabilities of VLC. So if you guys are nerds, then you know that a lot of these companies are so well known and beloved in the software community that we just wanted to also be there. We wanted to be amongst them. And it was really rewarding that our table was super crowded the whole time with people who recognized Security Forward, they recognized Nullbyte. And there were even some people who were just like, oh, I work with Varonis all the time. Like, that's so cool that they're sponsoring someone here. So we were told multiple times that our table was their favorite table. And I feel like if you don't account for bribes, that being like, like Hydro Flasks and like Raspberry Pi 5 giveaways, which I will be doing next time, the second one, not the first. It went really, really well. I think that we did an amazing job. So the one thing I will say is we spent a bunch of time and energy on making sure this CTF would be great. And then literally one person asked to join our CTF. So yeah, so the CTF maybe won't do that one again, or maybe make it a little bit more well publicized, but everything else is really awesome. And I just want to thank everyone that like came by and made us feel welcome. And also, if you've been part of the stream, if you enjoy the stream, just kind of let us know that you liked it. So of course, we took out Davis's horn and gave it a good honk. The city of Pasadena did not necessarily appreciate this incredibly loud honk, but this guy who we had never met before grabbed the horn and with permission proceeded to let off like a rapid fire blast of honks that rattled the hall. And I'm pretty sure are going to be audible in the audition take of some of the America's Got Talent people next door. So insofar as having the most attention-grabbing device, I think our booth actually won, even more so than the traffic cone hats, because there was only one of these things, and there was a line of engineers and truck aficionados who were begging to go outside and honk this horn. And we didn't get in trouble because, oh, that's the other thing. We disabled this sucker when we came inside because men, children, it didn't matter. People would come up and just pull the trigger on this horn, trying to make it go off. So really glad that we didn't have it go off inside the conference this year. All right, we also had our Meow Mixer. So we had some people from the conference come out to Null Space Labs and solder together their own smart Pushins. So we gave these away. They're little lamps that everybody in the class soldered their own. So they've got a little bit of like ownership over that and the ability to control it however you want. So as soon as I saw the popularity of the Pushins at our main table, I decided we needed to make something a little bit extra for people who chose to come out and support Null Space Labs. These sorts of community spaces are really important, and it's how I started getting into the hacking community. So I just want to also thank everybody who came to our Meow Mixer, hung out with our team, and soldered together their own smart Pushins. And I was leaving Null Space Labs that night. I just wanted to give a little shout out to the space. It's such a fucking, oh wait, I'm not on LinkedIn, so I can say that. It's such an amazing space to be able to like host a group of nerds who are all doing a bunch of interesting stuff. We had like a little game night in the back. We had people soldering in the front. And when I was closing it, I looked back and I noticed that the Null Space Labs people had painted in like radioactive paint or like, you know, luminescent paint that's always glowing the NSL logo. So I just have to say, the people at Null Space Labs were very, very welcoming and also very apologetic for going over our booth on the first day. So getting to host this event at Null Space Labs was super, super cool. And I just have to say, every time I leave Los Angeles, I miss these community spaces that let other like-minded people come and share their ideas. And I got to hear a lot of things, ideas about AI, for example, from people who are working in the industry, how it's affecting them, how it's affecting their jobs. It was cool to have those conversations in a place like NSL. Let's see. All right, so a couple more things. Final booth picture from this. Ignore that. I don't know what that is, but yeah. So this was our kind of like final picture of everybody at the booth. Super, super fun, if a little bit exhausting. The last day was second to last day was particularly intense. We met hundreds of people throughout the day, and I just have to say, I always underestimate how many people saw Nullbyte or you know, watch Hack5 and recognize our videos. You know, like I don't really, especially where I live, I never get recognized. But when I go to these conferences, suddenly like this guy came over to me and he's like, "Hey, do you just look like him, or are you Nullbyte?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I made that channel. That was totally me." And he's just like, "Yeah. You know, you look like Nullbyte, except you don't have dark circles under your eyes, but your posture is really bad. So I figured that was you." And I was like, okay, well, I did make the joke about how you can tell a Linux user by their posture, so I guess I kind of had that one coming. But I'm glad that I'm getting more sleep now. I guess that's sort of a compliment. So yeah, for anybody who like stopped by and just like told me that you watched Nullbyte, it meant something to you, it got you into ethical hacking, or that like it like struck a chord, like that is very rewarding for me to hear. Because as I often tell people, originally we were told that wasn't a good idea, that we shouldn't do it. We did the first couple episodes for free, like in defiance of being told like not to invest any resources of it. So yeah, thank you to everybody who came by and told us that meant something to you. It was really something. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else super noteworthy at the conference, but Scale, this is all right. So on our last day in Los Angeles, I got to see this. So I was like, oh, that's a weird airplane that seems to be going a lot faster and further than most airplanes do in a much shorter amount of time. This also then proceeded to separate and start to do this and have like little things falling off of the back of it. So I was over by the beach for like one last dinner before flying out. And yeah, this was a SpaceX launch, apparently. But a lot of people were extremely nervous, and everybody in the coffee shop I was in stood up and walked outside and started filming it. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna like film this with my phone, but put my face behind the brick wall just in case it's not a SpaceX launch. But call me paranoid. I don't know. It's just living in a place where I don't typically see things like this in the sky while I'm just chilling. It was a little bit strange to see what looked like a ballistic missile launch over Los Angeles and not have any sort of context as to what was happening. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. I don't know if anybody else in Southern California was surprised and or alarmed by that unexpected SpaceX launch, but I had to text our good friend Nick from Nullbyte and also Hack5, and he confirmed to me, as he now works in that area, that it was in fact not a missile. So I was relieved. But anyway, that was my Scale conference. I just wanted to give the organizers a shout out. I think we rattled them a little bit when we came in, like ready to go on the first day, and like our booth was moved and we were like, what do we do? But they ended up getting a team together to help us out. Like they were super, super nice about the situation and they got us sorted. I have to say, we had an amazing experience there. And if you're able to go to the Scale conference, it is definitely worth it. Not just to meet the network time people, of course, like that's kind of worth it, or have a chance at getting a traffic cone hat next year. It's also just a wonderful local conference with a lot of tie-ins to the community that have people who have been making awesome stuff come through and just kind of explain like what they're working on. So the talks were really good. The workshops were really good. Yeah, I just have to say a 10 out of 10 experience for going to a smaller local conference, and Pasadena is also an ideal place to go if you can get away for a con. So yeah, very, very cool. And upon arriving, there have also been some cool updates. I got a couple boxes in the mail, which I'm going to be going through probably on, I think probably the next stream, since we're getting kind of towards the end of this one. But a new breadboard design for the Nugget by our friend Aria. Aria's been on the stream a number of times. She's been one of our special hardware guests, and we've also featured her recently because of a couple articles she's posted on Hackaday documenting some really interesting projects, including that drone spoofing project where you can spoof a bunch of DJI drones using an ESP. So Arya contributed a new breadboard design that is smaller, more compact, and I think probably a little sturdier than the previous version. I'm really excited to give it a couple tests soon because it has by request. So I'm a power user of this. I've been making all sorts of like specialized projects, like that LoRa project I was showing off a couple, I think it was almost a month ago. So I was using this to prototype, but I really wanted like an I2C connector and like some of the other connectors that you need to, you know, like be able to connect some of these projects together easily. And that's what she did. So this has more IO, it's smaller. And it's, I just think maybe a little bit better for beginners who want to connect their first sensor or something like that. So super excited to play with this. I've also got a perf board for prototyping a little bit more like permanently, which I'm going to use to make my first LoRa prototype. And I just got in the boards for the LoRa specific version of the add-on that I've been working on designing. So that means there's 3 new pieces of hardware I get to be testing, one of which is a very like sexy long range hacker kind of thing. So yeah, I'm stoked. It's going to be really cool. And I'm looking forward to showing off the results of some of my long range testing with this permanent drop-in board instead of using these breadboards, which are wonderful. But for prototypes I've decided are cool enough to make into an actual like thing, I kind of want to make it more permanent with a PCB. So I think also we're going to have some more guests on. I met a lot of really great people at the conference and talked to some of them about coming on the stream. So hopefully we'll have some new people coming from Scale in the next couple of weeks. All right, so that is most of what I have to talk about Scale. The rest of this is going to be basically answering your questions. If you have any questions about up and coming, I don't know, Flipper, hardware stuff, ethical hacking stuff, career stuff, it's been an interesting couple of weeks just seeing the way that some of these big corporations are focusing, how they're recruiting, like how they are kind of like getting people who are interested in this space to think that they're engaged. It's been cool. So my next conference, I think that I'm really focusing on is going to be the RSA conference, which is coming up very soon. And that is like the most corporate conference that I have ever been to in my entire life. Sorry, the RSAC conference. It's different now. The RSAC. Yeah, going to RSAC. Yeah. So anyway, that conference is coming up relatively soon, and there's going to be the most rare stickers because that's where the NSA gives away their stickers. So if you're at the RSA conference first, I'm going to be trying to do some cool stuff there. I'm hoping to be able to maybe do either like a little workshop or get together or something just to, you know, break up the marketing stuff, talk about hacking at least a little bit. But yeah, like if you're there, maybe we could coordinate on getting stickers from the NSA booth and we could work something out because those are my favorite of all time. Sorry, going through the chat. Oh yeah. So here's a question. Can you investigate the Chameleon Ultra? I find this tool super useful. So I have a Chameleon Mini. Let me double check. Chameleon is a very hard word to spell sometimes. Yeah. Okay, this is it. Oh, The Verge covered it. Cool. All right, I'll put this up. So when I first got my Flipper, the number one thing I was interested in was walking up to readers and getting the nonces to be able to read or crack cards. I thought this was super cool, but the Flipper was not that good at this, actually. Like, it didn't succeed very often, and there were a lot of problems. And while the Flipper team is working on making this better and better, there are tools out there that, it's not this one. There are tools out there that make it really easy to do this. So this is the Chameleon Mini. Is it Chameleon Micro? Ultra. So this little sucker connects over Bluetooth. And it looks like a little pendant or like a little charm. It's like so small. So this is the one that I think when I worked with Hacker Warehouse last year, I was like, I desperately want this and only this. No, I don't want the time code. Oh, let's try this. Does it have a picture? Here we go. All right, so this is it. So if anybody in the chat has worked with this, I find these really, really interesting. And I think that Hacker Warehouse is one of the authorized distributors. Cool. So these are supposed to be a step up from the Flipper in terms of being able to copy RFID cards or NFC cards more easily. It's supposed to have more power. It's supposed to be able to be connected to Bluetooth and use your phone more effectively to do this sort of thing. And I have not had much of a chance to investigate this, but one of my new hacker friends in Los Angeles like whipped his out and was showing me how to use it. So I think I have the help I need in the near future to be able to feature one of these tools and talk more about like what they can do, what they can't do. My hacker friend seemed to think that it was pretty powerful and told me a story in which he had like used it to copy a card before and get into a location that was secured, we'll just say. So yeah, it seems as though the Chameleon Ultra and probably some of the other Chameleons are a hacking tool worth checking out if you're interested in like copying key cards. Copying key cards is something that I think is one of the better, more interesting applications of the Flipper Zero. Like I like the radio frequency stuff a lot, but copying key cards I think is my most used in terms of like what I find applicable and useful. I don't use my Flipper for bad USB. I don't use my Flipper for like, you know, like I buttons. I mostly use it for this sort of thing. I use mTool BLE. It's more easy for Chameleon Ultra. Yeah, there's a community around these hardware devices that have really like made them easy to use. An Ultra guide. But yeah, I really want to explore more about this particular device because of the other hacking tools I see on the market. Like I think that this one has a lot of potential and probably would do really well if we were to feature it in an interesting and spicy sort of guide on our show. All right, so I think that's most of what I have to go over the conference. It's most of what I have to go over on hardware. There's a couple new things coming out that I'm excited to talk about. One of them is going to be a war driving prototype, which we talked about war driving a little bit before, but I'm really going to start doing some interesting demonstrations and talking about how you can process the data to do interesting and cool things. We have the LoRa module, which I'm going to be torture testing and trying to get some extreme range out of in the near future. I've just got some surface mount soldering to do after this stream. And then, we have upcoming conferences. So I know that we're planning on going to the Hope Conference in New York. So if any of you are on the East Coast and you're looking for a great conference to go to, Hope is going to be amazing. I'm so excited about it. And also, we are probably going to Layer 1 conference in Pasadena. So provided I don't get called away for some other Varonis duty, that one's pretty much a sure shot because I know the people there. It's a wonderful conference. And again, Pasadena, if you could get away to Pasadena and make it work related, it's definitely worth it. So those are kinds of the next places you'll be able to see me. But again, I'm curious if anybody in the chat is going to be going to the RSA conference. It's such a weird conference. I used to go as press, and I think that if you go as press, it's very interesting. You have your own press room, they feed you, it's fine. But the experience is very different as a vendor. I've been going as a vendor for a couple years now, and the difference between going as press and going as a vendor is just the stress levels. Like as press, like it's stressful to try to like book with people and find a quiet place to do an interview and whatnot. But as a vendor, the stress level is a whole another thing. So I am fortunate enough to be able to like do streams and other stuff at the conference. It doesn't keep me at the booth the whole time. But as like a former introvert who has a limited social battery, sometimes like I definitely need to get away from that floor. And I think that's one of the few conferences where I have to put in headphones and like do some like sensory stuff, like blocking out stuff in order to like get out sometimes because there's so many people talking, so much interactions. It's just like a lot for me to handle sometimes. So I might have my hair blown back a little bit at RSA if you are also there, but I also am trying to organize some things where we can get hackers or other people interested in tech together to just do something cool, whether it's a CTF or just hanging out, talking about things, a live version of this stream, all that stuff. I think it'd be really fun. So if you're going to be there, hopefully I'll see you there too. I'm also really looking forward to walking around San Francisco at night since it's really lovely and safe right now. So that should be cool. I'm thinking about RSA, but we will see. Yes. So, like RSAC is one of those conferences where I used to love to go to it because I could see other journalists, and because I was press, and I could see other journalists like finding the news and all this like cyber junk. And I used to think that their job was like really, really hard. And I still do, honestly. because they have to listen to all these pitches and like sift through all this marketing and PR stuff and find the real stories or the things that people actually want to hear about in all of this noise. So that was my original experience at RSA, and I really actually kind of do treasure that perspective. So yeah, like I think it's going to be nice to work with other press and journalists. Being a fellow vendor, I don't know how much I like that. Just because, like I explained, it's a pretty corporate conference. There's a lot of competition. Everybody's yelling. Everybody's in your face. There's a lot of competition for attention, and it's fun for a little bit. But if you're forced to be there for like a really long time, I find that I need to take a break, and that's why I like doing the walkthroughs. I like doing like one-on-one interviews, and if we're gonna do like a little workshop or a little demo, like I think that's fun too. But I'm not one for carnivals. And like that's I guess what I feel like DEF CON is like a camp, and like RSA is a carnival. But you know, we'll see. I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be worth it, especially if you get your work to pay for it. It's 100% worth it. Just because like that's kind of the expectation at RSA. I find of all the different conferences, sorry, RSAC. I find of all the different conferences, it is one of the ones where a lot of people are sent by their work, but for individuals who are looking to go for themselves, it can be a little spendy, honestly, for individuals to go to RSAC without like a specific purpose. And for me, I was pressed. So that's how I've been going for such a long time. But I met some really good friends there. I also got involved with some really great organizations there. I made friends with the SANS people there. Like they were some of the first people that talked to me and like acknowledged me as another journalist and like were interested in working with me. So yeah, just shout out to all the cool like press and journalists and everyone who accepted me amongst their ranks, even when I was just like a YouTuber and Nullbyte had like 20,000 subscribers. All right, so we are just about towards the end of the stream, and yeah, I am looking forward to going through the hacker news of, I guess, the last 2 weeks. There's a lot of things that I wished I could have talked about, but the stream just was not able to happen those last couple of days. It was just too chaotic. So yeah, thank you for everybody hanging with us. It's nice to send the whole team out, and getting to interact with everybody in public is a nice change from just doing everything remotely. So hopefully we'll be doing more of that this year. Although don't yell at me if I wear a mask. I'm just tired of getting sick from conferences. So RSA, you'll notice me because I will probably be in a pink mask. That has been my favorite thing to do for the last several conferences because I can instantly see if I'm in a photo. It's so easy. We got press coverage or we were in like CNN's like B-roll of DEF CON the other year, and you could see us instantly because of the colored masks. So I kind of like it. And also like I said, I get recognized a lot at these conferences, and sometimes I just have to go to the bathroom and I just want to get like straight there. So if you do see someone wearing a pink mask in and around the Varonis booth at our RSAC, then it's me. Have you seen how crypto has been spiking right now? Yes, I have. So we have a vigorous debate here on Security Forward as to whether or not crypto means cryptozoology, cryptography, or something else. Although we mostly have kept our discussions to cryptozoology out of respect to our previous co-host and cryptozoology specialist, Michael Raymond, who is now a virtual CISO at a local managed service provider, by the way, if you're wondering how Michael's doing. I think we can just find me because of Blinky Cats. Yes, if you want to just look for Blinking Cats, you're going to find one of three people. It's either going to be me, Electronic Cats, or Alex Lynn. And all of us are a good time. So yeah, if you just look for Blinky Cats at a conference, you're going to find something interesting either way. So yeah, it's good to hang out with everyone. It feels so weird that we haven't done the stream for like a week. Getting my set all turned on and stuff, I was just like, man, I haven't touched this for like a minute. But yeah, we will hopefully be able to do some more live streams at conferences. It's just we need a little bit of help when it comes to like getting everything both set up for the second time and also getting the stream live in time. But aside from that, you can expect us to go live at RSAC. You can expect us to go live at most conferences this year when we have more than a couple people working. So yeah, cool. All right, everyone. I don't have an outro because, as I explained at the beginning of the stream, somebody forgot to pay the bill on Restream. So we're only streaming to my YouTube channel and also to my Twitter at the moment. So I'm just gonna abruptly go off air because I don't have access to any animation. So thank you everyone for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you again on Friday, hopefully with all the bells and whistles and on all the regular channels.